to the future. That's the theme of our first session. And of course, we are living here in the magnificent past. The people who built this wonderful building in the 1830s, they also thought about the future. They wanted people to benefit from improved science, improved medicine, so that in the future, people's lives would be longer and healthier and less painful. We all owe them a big debt. However, what we're going to hear today is about even more exciting changes in the future. I am about to introduce a true revolutionary of the future. He is a fellow of the World Academy of the Future, World Academy of Sciences. He is a director of the Millennium Project, and he is Vice Chair of Humanity Plus. I think you know him already. Let's give a warm welcome to José Luis Cordeiro.
Hello again. It is always a pleasure to be introduced by a friend and a co-author, so he could never say anything bad about me. So I will give two quick presentations. The first one is to welcome you to Madrid. Madrid is the city where my father was born, and I love this city. It's a city of immigrants also, and it is the capital of the Spanish kingdom and the Spanish-speaking world. This is the second time we have done Transvision here in Madrid. And we are bringing fantastic people, like in the second session, we will be connecting with Aubrey the Grey live in California. He has not been able to come in person, but he will be with us, and he will answer any questions that you will have. Tomorrow, we will be talking about one of our other great friends, Ray Kurzweil, and for example, this afternoon, we will finish with Max Moore, who many people call us the father of transhumanism and the extropy ideas. And obviously, the executive director of Humanity Plus, Natasha Vita-Moore as well. But we have fantastic people. Tomorrow, Ben Gortzel will be talking about the new robot, Grace, that will have medical applications. She will be like a medical nurse. And this is very important because we are in the College of Physicians of Spain. Madrid is a fantastic city, growing city. The region has about 8 million people. And this is the most beautiful auditorium, again, of all classical theaters in Spain. And I will tell you, remember, I will show you where Ramon y Cajal talked about neurons and synapses, which is only 50 meters that way. This is the 15th edition since we began in 1998 with the Transvision Summits. The first one was near Amsterdam in the Netherlands. The last one was in London, organized by David in London before the pandemic. And this is the new edition right here in Madrid coming back. As I mentioned, we have an incredible set of speakers. Most of them will be here in person, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, some of them will connect online, like this particularly incredible person who got the Nobel Prize in Physics. He will be talking tomorrow afternoon about his new baby, which is the James Webb Space Telescope. He's looking for exoplanets, and he's trying to find life outside our tiny planet. He will be with us tomorrow at 5 p.m. and will reveal all the program of the James Webb Telescope that will be launching in 2 months from the USA. This is an incredible opportunity. We are living in the time of space exploration finally. We will also announce a public letter, an open letter of scientists supporting aging research in Spain and internationally, and we are also collecting signatures of medical doctors. That is why we are doing this here as well. because we have been talking to several medical doctors who understand that aging is a treatable condition. For the first time in human history, we understand that we can treat aging. We can reverse aging. We are doing this in animals. This is not hypothetical anymore. We are doing this in animals. We have different forms in which we will do that petition, like change.org, as I showed before, or iPetitions. And I repeat, we will have this in Spanish, in English, for doctors and for lay people. We have a fantastic, incredible scientific committee led by Natasha Vitamor and the organizing committee by Sergio Tarrero, who is in the back, taking care of all the emergencies, last-minute problems. This is a time to join, to mingle, to make new friends, to do a lot of networking, and to think about experiences. Sunday morning, we will be talking about Mars. I had the incredible pleasure to be part of the first Spanish simulated mission to go to Mars 2 years ago. We actually call it a Mars analog mission because we simulated, we copied as much as possible the conditions to go to Mars. And we will have the creators of that initiative called Astroland Interplanetary Agency from Spain all the way to Mars. And as I mentioned, we will have the new younger sister of robot Sophia that we had before. We are appearing already in the media. Also, please remember to post in Twitter and everything. We are #transvision. #transvision for your pictures, your information, anything that you want to post, so that we keep on taking these ideas to the public everywhere. We are, for the first time, streaming this conference, and in 2 languages. That adds to the complexity for a place which is 200 years old, but it is working. And I remind you, we have cocktail dinners every night. We had the first one yesterday night in the beautiful Grand Hotel Ingles. Today and tomorrow, it will be right here after we go to see the Guernica painting by Picasso or El Prado Museum. We will have some of our friends here who are volunteering to take you to see the masterpieces of Spain in 1 hour. This is a fantastic offer, and it is free, okay? We just walk quickly, we see Guernica, we come back for the drinks. So remember that today we see the painting and we get drunk afterwards. Monday, we will go north of Madrid to the beautiful cities of Avila, Segovia. My mother is from Segovia. Segovia has 3 incredible, unforgettable things. A Roman aqueduct that is 2,000 years old. The most beautiful cathedral, we say in Segovia, and the Alcázar, which is the most beautiful castle in Spain, and then Neuschwanstein, because we have some German friends. Ludwig II from Germany, he copied Neuschwanstein from Alcázar in Segovia. And that was also the origin of the Disneyland castle. So the Disneyland castle is not Neuschwanstein in Germany, it is Segovia, and you will see that on Monday if you come. On Tuesday, we will see 3 other cities on the south of Spain. Alcalá de Henares, where Cervantes, the most famous writer in history, even more than Shakespeare, the Don Quixote has been read most around the world only after the Bible. So Don Quixote is a landmark in human history, and you will see where he was born. Then we will go to the imperial city of Aranjuez, which is the Versailles of Spain, and we will finish in Toledo. That was the capital of 3 kingdoms, the Muslim kingdom, the Jewish kingdom, and the Christian kingdom, before Madrid became the capital of Spain. So it's really, really incredible. And we will tell you also about El Escorial, that has a lot of history. It's the burial grounds of the kings and emperors of Spain. And it appears on the last book by Dan Brown. If you know the Da Vinci Code, it all happens in Spain. And it ends in El Escorial. And we will tell you the secrets. We have fantastic weather. God is with us, even though she might not exist, God. But she is with us. Fantastic weather today, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Sunny weather and no rain. And we began this morning with the Spanish sessions. They were really fantastic. We had 15 sessions in the morning. We opened the sessions in the morning by the Deputy of Science of Technology of Madrid. Actually, the mayor of Madrid was scheduled to come, but as you might know, this is a special weekend in Spain because the National Day of Spain is next week, October the 12th, which is the discovery or rediscovery of the Americas. So he had some political events. He couldn't come, the mayor of Madrid, but we had the Deputy of Science and Technology of Madrid. And just before the president of the College of Physicians spoke here also in Spanish, talking about the importance of the ethical issues concerning technology, concerning science, concerning medicine, and we believe in that. We believe in technology with moral foundations, with ethics. And this brings me to the VUCA concept, the bad old VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, into the new positive VUCA of vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. And now, I do want to welcome you to the future quickly to a summary of the things that I see coming. And remember, if you are tweeting, I am at Cordeiro, and this is #transvision. I lead the Millennium Project for Iberoamerica, which means the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal, plus all of Latin America. We are a global future think tank, and our CEO will connect from Washington after my talk to see a future in the next 20, 30, 40 years. We talk about the 15 global challenges into the future, and we publish yearly reports. The latest one about Latin America in the year 2030 were the scenarios about the future that I had the privilege, the honor to present at the World Economic Forum that you probably know, the Davos Forum. And I also was with personalities like Mario Vargas Llosa, who is the 8th Nobel laureate from Spain. I say 8th because he is like 7.5. As you know, he's Spanish and Peruvian. But he believes in many of the things that we talk about the future as well. And he was also at CNN with former President Donald Trump talking about the future. What is happening in the future of humanity? Population is beginning to stabilize. Even though population was growing very fast in the 20th century, it is beginning to stabilize, and it is declining in many countries. In most of Europe, population is declining. In Germany, in Italy, in Spain, population is declining. It is only being compensated by immigration. So even though that is bad news, the good news is that the economy is growing exponentially. This is absolutely fantastic. GDP per capita is growing exponentially. It was $1,000 per person per year at the turn of the 18th, 19th century. Then it has gone up exponentially, and it continues to go up exponentially. If you don't believe me, also look at the stock market. This is the stock market, and I cannot see anything more exponential than that. You can see the vertical scale, absolutely exponential, including World War I, World War II, COVID, anything. The economy is growing exponentially. We live in a time of exponential change, even in economics. In fact, the world was poor until the Industrial Revolution began in England. It was in the United Kingdom, for the first time in human history, that the GDP was doubled. For the first time in human history. And it took 58 years in England to double the income per capita. Then other countries learned and did it faster. The USA in 47 years, and today China. China, every 8, 9, 10 years, is doubling its income per capita. This is beautiful, because today there are no longer excuses to be poor. Today we know what works and we know what doesn't work, and we can do it faster because we have been learning through the centuries. We left behind the Malthusian trap in the 18th century, when Malthus wrote 2 centuries ago that it was the end of humanity. We were overpopulated. We had no resources. And at that time, London was a small town. Well, not that small, 1 million people. England had 10 million people, and the planet had 1 billion people. But Malthus said, it is the end. Too many people, no resources. What happened? Technology. Technology came to the rescue. Technology is what makes us also different from animals. Or we are animals with technology, if you want. So, in fact, look at some people don't want to see technology. But what is changing so radically is we are going from scarcity into abundance. We are moving in a world from old economics of scarcity into the economics of abundance. And we covered these issues in the Millennium Project. You can download our reports. And what is most beautiful is that even lifespan is growing exponentially. At the time of the Roman Empire, average human age was about 25 years. And you can see basically we were sleeping and working. How boring a life. By the year 1800, average life expectancy in Europe was getting to 50 years. And we had, for the first time for education. In the year 2000, as you can see, we were reaching 70 years and more, and we had more education. By the year 2050, we will have a lot of education, and life expectancy will be over 100. In fact, it might be over 200 in the future very soon, and then indefinitely. But some groups will disapprove of technology, will not want technology, like the Amish in the United Kingdom. The Amish left the United Kingdom, and then they went to the USA, even to some places in South America. And they don't want technology beyond the 18th century. And what was special about the 18th century? Nothing that I can think of. Or even worse, I grew up in South America, where there are some Indians, the Yanomami Indians, who say that they don't want any technology. They don't even want the clothes. Clothes is something they don't want. They don't want to speak Spanish. They don't want to speak Portuguese. And that is fine, but that has consequences. Probably 5,000 years ago, we had some people called the anti-whales, who did not want whales. We will always find people who don't want technology. And I repeat, in the United Kingdom, we had the Luddites. The home of the Industrial Revolution had the first Luddites who destroyed machines because they said machines would take away our jobs. But actually, because of machines, we live in a much better world, in a better advanced society. So, I want you to take into a trip throughout the world, and most of you have seen this European view of the world with Europe in the center. It's so common that even the cows have this map. But I want you to think about a new view of the world, because China is really the Middle Kingdom. If you look at the characters of China, it has two characters. The first one means center. The second one means kingdom. China means the Middle Kingdom, the center of the world. And as I tell my friends, if you have 5 children, you know that the 5th child will be Chinese. But obviously, it depends on where you are. If you come from Australia, actually, we have at least 10 people connecting from Australia. Hello to my friends from down under. They look at the world upside down, according to us. And if you are in Dubai, you look at the world islands. So I want you to see the world with a new face, and also with a new behind. Because soon we will be moving out of this planet for the first time. And as I mentioned, I'm part of the first generation of astrolanders to try to go to Mars, because the future is no longer what it used to be. 12 years ago, Singularity University was founded by my friends from MIT, Ray Kurzweil and Peter Diamandis. And they said that we need to change the condition of humanity and think about exponential technologies and moving from local to global. Ray Kurzweil has been very popular talking about the year 2045, when he says the year man becomes immortal. But for ladies here, do not worry. Women will also become immortal. All of us will be able to live indefinitely if we want to. Ray Kurzweil will be letting us know about his new book tomorrow. The singularity is near rare, But the change is incredible. When I was in university 40 years ago, I used IBM punch cards that were 1K of memory, or even floppy disks of 8 inches, 1K, the first generation. Then they changed, and everything has been changing. But this is happening not only with computers, it's happening also with biology. And this is my genome sequence, for example, and you can see that most people can today sequence their genome, at least for genealogical information or for some disease information, and this is incredible. Once you sequence your genome, you will discover what you might die of so that you do not die of that. Isn't that beautiful? We will discover what we have in our genes. Also, you will discover where you come from. This is my parental line, where the ancestors from my father line come from. And you can see at the bottom right that I have Genghis Khan among my ancestors, so no one wants to fight with me. And on my mother's side, I have Maria Antoinette. So I have a very good pedigree between Maria Antoinette and Genghis Khan. We will be able to reconstruct our history, but more interesting, we will design our children. This is an experiment I did with one of my students at Singularity University to decide how our children could be. A theoretical experiment, okay, to see how our children could be. And let me tell you, sadly, you are part of the last non-designed generation. All of you are here by mistake. You were not designed. In the future, we will be designed. And this is dropping radically. The Human Genome Project took 13 years, and it cost over $1 billion just to the US government. Soon, this will cost $10, and it will be done in 1 minute. Look at these numbers. Incredibly exponential in cost and in time. We truly are really walking information. We are about 3 gigabytes of information. That is what we have. The genome, the human genome, is about 3 gigabytes of information. And synthetic biology has been able to create artificial life. We have been able in the year 2000 to create artificial virus. In 2010, artificial bacteria. And maybe in 2045, artificial humans. But this will help us to improve the human condition. Everything is changing exponentially, faster, smaller, cheaper, and better. And if we think exponentially, things move very quickly, very, very quickly. If we think linearly, and I walk 30 steps, I walk 30 meters. But if I walk exponentially and I double, 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 after 30 doublings, I have gone around planet Earth 26 times, and I have walked over 1 billion meters. So this is important to understand the power of exponential change that is happening in technology. So the future really is not what it used to be, as the most famous Argentinian philosopher, Mafalda, has explained. I grew up in Venezuela, and the biggest company in Venezuela is the oil company. But Mickey Mouse today sells more than all the petroleum of Venezuela. A little mouse. Why? Because we are moving from the world of manufacturing into mind-facturing. And this is happening in all industries. Also, for my friends who are watching us from Colombia, hello, Colombia. We have about 20 people from Colombia connecting online. Colombia thinks that their coffee is good. And yes, it is excellent coffee, excellent coffee. But Colombia only sells in the best case, $2 billion in coffee exports. Starbucks sells 10 times more. So the value is not in the raw materials. The value is in adding value in every single industry, And there is a total disruption of every industry: transportation, communications, marketing. Anything is being disrupted today. We used to say at Singularity University that you need to think exponentially, because if you do not Uber yourself, you will be Kodak. So we need to think about these exponential disruptions coming one after the other. So futurists, we talk about 4 ways to look into the future. Passive, like the ostrich. Horrible, to suffer the future. A little bit less bad is to be reactive, like a firefighter. But it is better to be preactive. When you buy insurance, you try to get prepared for the future. But the best is to be proactive, to create the future, to build the future. So this is the goal. And I hope we don't have any ostriches here, because ostriches are not Spanish or European. But if you are an ostrich, fly and see the future with us. About 15 years ago, I visited Sir Arthur C. Clarke in his home in Colombo, Sri Lanka. And he's incredibly famous for his books and his movies and the 3 laws of the future. He said, first law, when a famous scientist says that something is possible, he's probably right. But when he says it is impossible, he is probably wrong. Second law of the future, the only way of discovering the limits of the possible is to venture past those limits into the impossible. And the third law, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So we are going to talk about magic because the future will see magic to us today. For example, 30 years ago, personal computers were just going globally. 20 years ago, cell phones going globally. 10 years ago, Google, Facebook. What will happen in the next 10, 20 years? We will see the control of aging in the next 10, 20 years. In fact, as I mentioned, many people, more and more, are beginning to call aging a disease, but a curable disease, a medical condition that can be treated, that can be reversed. In the last few years, the life expectancy of mice has been doubled. The life expectancy of flies has been multiplied by 4, and the life expectancy of some worms have been multiplied by 10. These are the Methuselah worms, worms that live 1,000 years, human equivalent years. And scientists don't do these Methuselah worms because they like worms, but because we need to understand what is aging. More interesting is that today we know that there are immortal cells. And that was discovered in 1951 when a patient called Henrietta Lacks died in 1951 at age 31 because she was born in 1920. Even though she died, her cells are alive. Her tumor is alive. It is over 100 years old. And that is how we discovered that cancer learned how not to age. Cancer cells do not age. Cancer cells are considered biologically immortal. So when people tell me that immortality is impossible, I say, how is it impossible if there are immortal cells? And cancer did not go to university. Cancer didn't use $1 to become immortal. That is why you need to understand that immortality is not expensive and it is not complicated because cancer learned it all by itself without putting $1 single and without going to school. We also know there are other immortal cells. So I want to tell you that biological immortality exists already. Bad cells like cancer and good cells like germ cancer. We also have immortal organisms like hydras, medusas, the immortal jellyfish. And we even know that bacterial colonies are biologically immortal. Or this is how they are called in biology, biologically immortal. Also, they are different. They have circular chromosomes without a beginning and without an end. They don't have telomeres. People in Silicon Valley, where I lived for about 5 years, they are learning that death is a technical issue, and therefore it will have a technical solution. This is what Google says. And they created Calico, California Life Company, but not just Google. Microsoft, they said that they are working on solving cancer in 10 years after sequencing the human genome and finding the cancer mutations that stops aging. And the same Mark Zuckerberg, that he plans to cure all diseases. This is the biggest industry in the world in 20 years. I don't know what you do, and I don't care. But if you are not into longevity, you are missing out. This will be the largest industry in the planet. It's moving from millions to billions, and soon to trillions. A huge ecosystem being born in this area: longevity, health, medicine. As we know, the Nobel Prize in Medicine, Shinya Yamanaka, 2012, whom I visited in Kyoto University in the year 2009, 3 years before he got the Nobel Prize, he discovered that aging can be reversed, changing as few as 4 genes. Incredible. We can reverse aging. And this is why we are here. And this is why we are in the College of Physicians of Spain. And this is why we want to change the future, but with ethics, thinking about the future carefully, because yin and yang is so complex, and there is always, as I like to say, little yin-yang within the yin-yang, and even more little yin-yang. So this is complex, very complex issues. But also the Chinese have a beautiful phrase. They say, let's light up the world. Do not blame darkness. Light up a candle. So we will be lighting candles on the Sunday night cocktail, okay? So I hope you stay for us for the Sunday night cocktails, lighting up candles. Because the future can go in 2 ways. The future of darkness, of North Korea, the last planet in the world that still has no public Wi-Fi, the last planet in the last country in the planet, or South Korea that has the fastest internet in the world. We want to go into the past, into the dark North Korea, or into the bright future of South Korea. So we need to meditate. I love meditation. I do a lot of Hindu meditation, Buddhist meditation. And I want to finish with a beautiful Chinese phrase, which I learned when I lived in Tokyo for 3 years. And I learned some Chinese characters. And this is beautiful. First, I began to learn how to write it upside down, sideways. And now I know how to write it in the proper way. That word means crisis in Chinese, crisis. Crisis has 2 characters. The first one is danger, but the second one is opportunity. We are in a danger, obviously, we are in a crisis, but we have the best opportunity ever for humanity right here, right now, with all of you. So, muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. So many ideas, so much depth, lots to explore.